So when we look at this process of digestion, let's imagine that you've just consumed a hamburger. We're going to focus first on the digestion of the carbohydrates. So we're going to look at what's happening to the hamburger bun itself. Okay? Carbohydrate digestion happens specifically in the mouth and the small intestine. So we begin with our mouth, and not only are we mechanically digesting in the mouth, okay, with our teeth and our tongue, but we're chemically already starting to digest carbohydrates. So the process of carbohydrate digestion begins the minute that you start consuming that hamburger. So right here we've got salivary glands, okay, and these secrete an enzyme called amylase. Okay, remember that starch is also known as amylose, and amylase breaks down starch. So this breaks down amylose, aka starch. And this is happening as soon as you start consuming a carbohydrate. So we're breaking it down into smaller bits with our teeth and our tongue. We're mechanically digesting it. And the salivary glands are secreting this very important enzyme, amylase. Once we swallow the bun, the carbohydrates travel down the esophagus into the stomach. Carbohydrate digestion does not take place in the stomach. So you've just chewed up the bun, you've started breaking down the starch with your amylase from the salivary glands. The carbohydrates basically just pass through the stomach. So chemically, nothing's happening to them in the stomach. The next place, after we leave the stomach, you enter into the small intestine. So right here is the opening between the stomach and the small intestine. This is where carbohydrate digestion continues to take place. So it starts in the mouth, skips over the stomach, and then we get into the small intestine. Now, this organ, the pancreas, which is one of those accessory organs, meaning food doesn't pass through it, but it does contribute. The pancreas secretes what we call pancreatic amylase. Okay, chemically, it's just like the stuff that we had in the mouth up here, but it comes from the pancreas. Okay, pancreatic amylase continues the breakdown of starch and disaccharides. So some of this starch will have already been broken down in the mouth. This continues to break it down, so we break it into smaller sugars, okay, such as disaccharides, until eventually it's all broken down into the glucose subunits. Glucose is the smallest subunit of starch, and this is what we need to absorb into our bloodstream. So we've got to take that large starch molecule, break it all the way down into the subunits so that we can absorb it in the small intestine. So this pancreatic amylase performs the hydrolysis, or the breakdown, of starch and disaccharides into glucose. Once it's all broken down into glucose, the molecules are small enough that they can now be absorbed into your bloodstream, where they can be delivered to your cells.